First at 1 o'clock Eastern, it'll be Ohio State. The Buckeyes went 11-1, the third highest ranking in the Big Ten. They'll be taking on Notre Dame as the Fighting Irish 10-2 as they finish the season. Well, you want star power here, big names, Mac. You get Notre Dame and Ohio State. Clearly, the entire country is going to be divided into who they're cheering for in this game.
Yeah, Fiesta Bowl got it right. They hit it out of the ballpark. Now, and if you had a final 8. These 4 would be in it with the Rose Bowl and the Fiesta Bowl, and we'd have great games as we start looking at the future. But Urban Meyer, it's really hard to coach the year after you win it all. You got entitlement issues. You got issues with expectations being way too high. It's really hard to manage. I've done it. Yeah. And Florida State did it last year. We hold them to a higher standard because they're last year's team, and all of them are back. So and we all know every team is different. But I thought Urban Meyer did a great job of getting them through the Michigan game. They looked great there. On the other hand, Notre Dame, with all their injuries, maybe as many as anybody but TCU in the country, they end up losing on the last play because they can't get in the end zone against Clemson in the rain on the road, and losing on the last play to Stanford on the last second field goal. So these are 2 really good football teams with a couple of breaks that could be 1 and 2 today.
Yeah, and the problems for Ohio State started when Tom Herman took the job down there at Houston. They were never able to manage that, never really able to manage some of the injuries that they had on the outside at wide receiver. The question for me is, what are we going to see from this Notre Dame team? Is C.J. Prosise going to be back? I'm hearing Jaron Jones, great defensive lineman, is going to be back in this game. This defense from Notre Dame really struggled as the year went on. All the way down at 51st in defensive efficiency, which is a measure that takes into account the level of proficiency of the offense that you're going against. So that's the real problem for me, because Ohio State, against one of the most dominant defenses we've seen this year in Michigan, they just blasted them in a rivalry game. One of the most impressive wins of the year.
And you talk about great coaching, the fact you're mentioning Urban Meyer, the challenges he faced. How about Brian Kelly? The fact you lose your starting quarterback, Prosise was out for a while, did a really good job, I think, with the Irish.
He's got to be in for National Coach of the Year. He's got to be, because if you look at their 2 losses on the road to ranked teams by 2 points each, now this is a pretty good football team, but with all the injuries that they had, and they were able to still rally the troops and come together and win those football games, that's a heck of a job. On the other side of the coin at Ohio State, one thing that I'm taking out of this, Zeke Elliott, some of those players that said, going to the NFL.
Yeah.
Last chance to play for Ohio State. Are they going to be looking towards the future or looking towards this game? That's one thing I worry about players.
Let's not forget that talk happened after the Michigan State game, and you were saying that was going to be a problem going into Michigan. And we had that discussion on SportsCenter. I told you.
You're right.
They were going to turn around and they were going to play their game.
You were absolutely right about that, but I'm worried about this one, because this one is the last one. This is like, you know what? The next game I play after this, I'm going to be in the NFL and playing for dollars.
And it was a problem, but it was for Michigan.
Yeah, exactly. You never get a second chance. You never get a second chance at a first or a last impression. This is their last impression playing in college. They'll be fine.
And you never get a second chance of being a first-round draft pick either.
No, you got that right.
And you know, they actually lost 2 quarterbacks. Everett Golson leaving really hurt them back in the spring. They lost 2 or 3 running backs. They lost their best defensive lineman in preseason. I mean, it's an amazing job with both of those guys for different issues, different reasons, getting it here. But it's all about who you play. These 2 teams are going to be excited about playing each other.
Yeah, these fan bases.
It's going to be fun. It's going to be fun to watch. I just wish I was there to see all my friends.
Who do you, all your Buckeye and Irish friends, I mean, who do you root for in this one?
I just want to go. Walk the sidelines.
I bet you could get in.
Maybe they'll get on that wave like the Queen.
And there are a lot of people there that want you to go, too.
Not my call. I wish I could.
I was around May Day and the Ohio State fans last year. I don't ever do that again without security. It was not safe. I was afraid that I might get hit with some of the stuff that was being thrown at him.
Yeah. How about this? Coach, you ready to go? No, you go ahead, Mark.
I'll be 15 steps behind you.
Why don't you go high-five some of the fans, Mark, and then I'll get out of here.
I don't need the batteries being tossed.